So go ahead, Stephanie, you can take the show.
Hello, good morning, everybody. I'm Stephanie, and today we'll be reading Ruby Has PKU. And I'd like to see we can't see our participants, can we?
We can't.
Okay,
I don't think it shows them.
okay. Well, welcome everybody. So we have here the Adventures of Ruby Pricklebottom. The Pricklebottoms family had just settled in at home with their new baby when the phone rang. And you can turn the page, Karen. Yeah. Hello, answered Mr. Pricklebottom. Hello, Mr. Pricklebottom. It's about baby Ruby. We need you to come into our office as soon as possible, replied a voice on the phone. Ding-a-ding-a-ding. You can turn the page. The next morning, the nervous Hedgehog family listened as Dr. Bandit broke the news. Ruby has phenylketonuria, said Dr. Bandit. Phenyl, what? Asked Mrs. Pricklebottom, holding Ruby a little closer. Phenylketonuria, said Dr. Bandit. Well, we call it PKU for short. Ruby's body can't break down one of the amino acids in protein, so she will need a special diet. Ding-a-ding-a-ding. The Pricklebottoms listened very carefully as Dr. Bandit explained. You see here, this is a protein. It's made up of 20 parts called amino acids. This one is called phenylalanine, or Phe for short, he said, pointing to a chart on the wall. Ruby's body doesn't need very much Phe, and eating too much of it can harm her body and brain. Ding-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding. Dr. Bandit continued. Ruby should only eat as much Phe as her body can use. That way, she can grow up to be a happy, healthy hedgehog. Mr. Pricklebottom thought for a moment. How will we know how much Phe her body can use? Well, you can check with a simple blood spot, answered Dr. Bandit. And Miss Bab will be Ruby's dietitian. She will be waiting for you at the metabolic clinic, and she will show you exactly what to do. Everything is going to be just fine. You'll see. Ding-a-ding-a-ding. Is that the next page? Oh. Okay. Well, we can turn to the other page then. Yes. Later, the Pricklebottoms arrived at the metabolic clinic, still feeling a bit confused and overwhelmed. Hello, I'm Miss Bab, and I'll be taking good care of you and Ruby. It's so lovely to meet you. What a beautiful new daughter you have, Miss Bab said warmly. Mrs. Pricklebottom looked down at Ruby and asked, Will she be okay? Oh, yes, replied Miss Bab. PKU isn't so bad. It's easily taken care of by putting Ruby on a low-Phe diet and medical formula. You'll count how much Phe Ruby eats each day and try to have her eat a magic number of Phe so that her body gets just exactly what it needs. Miss Bab paused to make sure the new parents were understanding, then continued. Her magic number will change as she grows, so we like to do blood spots regularly to make sure she is on track. Ding-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding. Blood spots? Ruby's big brother asked. What's that? Oh, don't worry, Roscoe, Miss Bab answered. Blood spots are just a little drop of Ruby's blood on a special paper. We send it to the lab, and the result is a number that tells us if there's too much, too little, or just enough Phe in Ruby's diet. Miss Bab smiled, then continued. You know, Roscoe, Ruby is very lucky to have a big brother like you to watch out for her." "Thanks," Roscoe beamed. The Pricklebottoms spent a little more time talking with Miss Bab and going over information about treating Ruby's PKU. Upon leaving the metabolic clinic, they were ready to get started with Ruby's special diet. Ding a ding a ding. Time passed and Ruby grew more and more each day. Her family learned how to measure and count feet, and even Roscoe helped out. Ruby loved her formula and life was good. Oh, there we see she's taking her formula, right? Ding a ding a ding a ding. Ding a ding a ding a ding. Ding a ding a ding a ding. Miss Bab knew from the start that the Pricklebottoms would do a great job with Ruby's PKU, and she was right. She checked in them with them regularly to let them know how Ruby's blood spots results came back. From time to time, Ruby's magic number needed to change a bit, just as they expected. Ding a ding a ding a ding. Now remember, make sure Ruby drinks all her formula and gets her magic number of feet each day, said Miss Bab. Do her blood spots on Tuesday, and we'll talk about the results as soon as it comes back from the lab. Oh, thanks, Miss Bab. We'll talk soon. Ding a ding a ding a ding. That Tuesday afternoon, as Mrs. Pricklebottom was preparing to do the blood spot, she noticed that Ruby was nowhere to be seen. "Roscoe, can you go find Ruby, please? It's time for her blood spot." "Sure, Mom," Roscoe replied. Ding a ding a ding. "Ruby! Oh, Ruby!" Oh, he heard a small sniffle coming from under Ruby's bed. Pulling up the blanket, he asked, "Ruby, what are you doing under there?" "I hide, Roscoe." Ruby crawled under the bed to cuddle his Roscoe crawled under the bed to cuddle his sister. "Why are you hiding?" "Spot hurt." "No, ouchie," she answered. "Oh," Roscoe said softly, "you don't want to do your blood spots. That's it, right?" Ding a ding a ding. "No, ouchie," Ruby whined. "Listen, Ruby, I know that doing your blood spots hurts a little, but it's over really fast and it's really important. It tells us if your magic number of feet is still right for your body. Come on out, okay? I can hold your hand the whole time." Ruby slowly came out from under the bed. Roscoe gave her a hug and they walked to the kitchen, where Mrs. Pricklebottom was waiting. Ding a ding a ding. 1, 2, 3. Mrs. Pricklebottom pricked Ruby's finger on 3 and let a small drop of blood fall onto the paper. Ruby didn't even cry. Roscoe wrapped a band-aid around her finger and said, "Way to go, Ruby! Ready to go play?" "Go, go, go!" she squealed and raced off down the hall, laughing as she went. Roscoe chased after her, proud of how brave she had been. Ding a ding a ding a ding. Ruby had grown and grown. She was brave every time she had to do a blood spot and even picked out her own bandage. Before long, it was time for Ruby's first day of school. The Stomp House was brewing with excitement as Mrs. Pricklebottom hurried to pack Ruby's lunch. Ding a ding a ding. Once Ruby was all set, she stood nervously with Roscoe as they waited on the bus. "Don't worry, Ruby, you'll love school. There's lots of fun things to do and you'll make friends in no time. And if you need me, I'll be right down the hall." Ruby took a deep breath, smiled and squeezed Roscoe's hand. Ding-a-ding-a-ding. As they walked into the school, Roscoe gave Ruby one more bit of advice. Remember, Ruby, don't share snacks with anyone. You have to stick to your diet. You know your body's needs. Stick to your magic number. Got it, replied Ruby as she gave Roscoe one last hug. Ding-a-ding-a-ding. Oh, you must be Ruby, said Miss J. Come on in. We're going to have a great day. I've heard all about you. Did you know that I was Roscoe's teacher too? Ruby nodded. We're having some playtime. Why don't you just find your desk and put your things away? Then you may choose an activity. Ding-a-ding-a-ding. Ruby came in cautiously and found her desk. A small gray mouse scampered over to her. Hi, I'm Molly. Want to play blocks with me? Ruby smiled and felt relieved to have already made a friend. Hi, I'm Ruby. Sure, let's go. Ding-a-ding-a-ding. Molly and Ruby played all morning, and Miss Day even let them sit by one another at lunch. Hey, Ruby, Molly said, do you want a piece of my mom's special cheese? She makes the best cheese wheels. Ruby replied, I'd better not, but thanks anyway. I have PKU, so I only eat my special foods and drinks a special formula. Molly looked puzzled. Well, can't you just have a little nibble? She asked. Ding-a-ding-a-ding. PKU is sort of serious, Molly. If I eat things I'm not supposed to have, I will feel yucky and my body won't be healthy anymore. It can even hurt my brain. It's nice that you want to share, but I know that my special low-protein food keep me feeling my best. Okay? Molly nodded, finally understanding. Sure, Ruby, I want you to be okay. Wow, I'm glad you know so much about your PKU. The two friends finished eating their lunches and chattered happily. Ruby told Molly all about her blood spots and her magic fee number, and Molly told Ruby how brave she thought Ruby must be to handle her PKU so well. Ding-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding. As Roscoe and Ruby rode the bus back home after their afternoon at school, they talked about the day. Roscoe had just finished telling Ruby about his new teacher when he spotted a box at their front door. Hey, look, Ruby! Your new PKU food arrived. Oh, yeah, look at the box. It's a Cambrookes box. Ruby skipped off the bus, excited to see her yummy goodies. Getting her food in the mail was almost like opening a present. It was a great surprise and a perfect ending to her day. Ding-a-ding-a-ding.
Steph, just make sure you're near the mic.
That ding-a-ding-a-ding. Can we change a page? Oh, yeah, okay. That night at dinner, Ruby had a brand new low-protein dish. The Pricklebottom listened as Ruby told them about Molly and how she had taught her all about PKU. She had been brave and strong. It was in that moment that Mr. and Mrs. Pricklebottom knew that Ruby would be even more than okay. Ruby would be extraordinary, like you are too. And that's the end of the story. I hope you enjoyed the Adventures of Ruby Pricklebottom.